Whirlpool swirls onto the scene with a sinister spin cycle. Directed by Mick Garris, written by A.L. Katz and Gilbert Adler, and shot by Rick Boda. Based on a story from the Vault of Horror number 32, drawn by Johnny Craig. Whirlpool swirls onto the scene with a sinister spin cycle. In a black void, 3 monsters stand above a helpless woman. She can't remember her name, where she's from, nothing. Floating in the emptiness, she crashes through a window. Running on the street, the monsters give chase. The road seems to never end until a building with no windows towers over her. Calling for help, she enters the door, falling into another void. Velma and her lover kill Jerry in the bathtub. Unlucky for them, he's back from the dead. Why? That's what the editor and other artists of EC Comics want to know. They are not impressed by this twist ending, or the art presented to them by Rolanda. Her tale is rejected, and now they're 1 story short, mere hours before the printer's deadline. Vern shuts himself in his office.
It's not that bad, is it?
Rolanda, I want you in my office right now.
Trust me, it's worse.
The nameless woman finds herself on a floor. She is picked up by a monstrously strong man. He tosses her into a vat of boiling water. Her skin burns as she tries to scream. The strong man takes her out, placing her in ice. The freezing pain is too much. She has no idea why she can't remember anything. When she opens her eyes, she's tied down, tormented by an old woman stabbing her again and again with a long hat pin. She is trapped in a whirlpool of torture. Vern has had it with Rolanda's waning work. He fires her. She begs him not to. Security drags her out. The other artists are not surprised by her departure. After hours, after a few drinks, Rolanda returns to Vern's office. She has a story to pitch.
It's about a gal who loses her job, and something inside of her snaps, and she finds that thing that gives her back her edge.
Sounds a little thin.
Trust me, the visual is going to sell it.
Now Vern is the one begging, and Rolanda opens fire on him. She drunkenly struts out of the office into the elevator. In the lobby, she's greeted with a hail of police gunfire. She wakes up in her own bed. Everything seems okay. She has a comic book story to present, Whirlpool. Velma and her lover killed Jerry in the bathtub. Unlucky for them, he's back from the dead. Why? That's what the editor and other artists of EC Comics want to know. Rolanda notices something is familiar about today. A tall man sends the old woman away. Without saying a word, he unties our victim. She cries into his chest. Remaining silent, he leads her to a chair where she rests her eyes. Her hands are clamped down. It's an electric chair. The man laughs, pulling the switch. Electricity surges through the woman's body. And then she's in another room. 4 walls, no way out. As she feels around for an exit, the room gets smaller and smaller. She can't stand up anymore. The room is crushing her. All seems lost when one of the walls bursts out. She finds herself in a dark room. A man opens the door, letting light in. Comforting her, he leads the woman down a hall into a room with 3 other men. They are there to help and ask about her recent experience. Relieved she no longer has to fear what happens next, she tells them everything. Rolanda tries to tell Vern something weird is happening. He doesn't care, going on the same rant as before. Rolanda tries to stop her firing.
Are you drinking again?
Honest to God, Vern, not a drop.
Then maybe you should start.
Before you fire me?
Somebody call security!
That didn't work. At night, Rolanda leaves her apartment. This time, the gun stays behind. At Vern's office, Rolanda apologizes for earlier and has a new story pitch.
It's about a gal who loses her job and something inside of her snaps. And she finds that thing that gives her back her edge.
Sounds a little thin.
No, I really think I have something good.
Vern doesn't accept Rolanda's apology. He believes she came there to kill him. They struggle. The gun goes off. Vern doesn't make it out alive.
Oh, shit!
Feeling better, the woman stops crying. The men explain that her mind was twisting real-life events and people into monsters torturing her. The electric chair was really electrotherapy. The old lady stabbing her was merely giving an injection. The boiling cauldron and ice were hot and cold baths. And the shrinking room? Just a padded room for solitary confinement due to her violent outbursts. She doesn't believe the men. She wants to know why she's there. They reveal she is an inmate at the insane asylum. The room darkens. The three men transform into monsters, demanding to know what the woman's name is. She can't remember. The woman crashes through a window. The whirlpool of torture begins again. Rolanda runs to the elevator. On the ground floor, she's greeted with a hail of police gunfire. She wakes up in her own bed. Everything seems okay. This time, she tears up her story and calls work. Vern isn't in, but she won't be either. The doorbell rings. It's Vern, looking for Rolanda's story. Frantic, he practically has the same conversation the two have had the entire episode.
You're fired! You hear me? Fired!
Oh, Vern! Don't do this to me.
I can't take this anymore.
Vern, no!
The police rush in. Rolanda finds herself strapped to a prison chair in front of the firing squad. She is convinced at death she will wake up in her bed again. Bullets fly through Rolanda. She's dead. But not really. This was all part of Vern's comic book story. Rolanda is his boss, and she hates his pitch. Rolanda wants him in her office right away. Time for Vern's whirlpool to begin. Whirlpool is a missed opportunity. The original implies the repetitive cycle at the end. Until the climactic reveal of the mystery woman's institutionalization, the comic is not much more than scenes of torture barely strung together. The artwork is cool. Monstrous faces, the electric chair zapping, a shrinking room, and crashing into the void are highlights, giving the EC horrors something of a more insane edge than usual. I admire Mick Garris as a director. His adaptation of Stephen King's The Stand has been a major influence on me since middle school, so I'm always excited to check out something bearing his name. The episode actually shows the time loop in full swing, and it feels unfinished. This isn't the first time I've critiqued a short runtime. Whirlpool leaves itself no time to fully play with its premise once we know what's going on. There are only 2 repeats of Rolanda's day, and the second one already has her changing things radically. The twist of her story being a comic book is expected, and Vern's implied whirlpool is cute, but I wish Rolanda, who has been the underdog the entire episode, had received the final moment. Much like the comic, I am impressed by the design of the episode. I can appreciate keeping the story in the 1950s when EC's Crypt and Vault were still in production. And we get a somewhat extended cameo from co-showrunner A.L. Katz as Iggy. Everything may look good on the surface, but no need to give this tale a whirl. This pool is shallow.
Freeze!